Looking well. Everyone's looking proper. Luang Po have been giving a Dharma talk for a long time, since about 40 years ago. Since after Luang Po Put told me to teach a Dharma talk, to give a Dharma talk, Luang Po wanted to ask Luang Po Put, when can Luang Po stop, but Luang Po Put is no longer here. What Luang Po is teaching, he learned it from other masters. And many masters said that if you listen to only one Dharma talk from Luang Po, it is enough. If you listen to the Dharma talk a lot, all the time, like a hobby, it would be spending too much time listening to a Dharma talk. One Dharma talk is enough to listen to and to practice, to follow and see results. That's what many masters said. So we all have listened to Luang Po for a long time. Luang Po have taught in the Dharma talk for more than 3,000 talks. Most of the talk cover everything, since the theory, the principles of how to practice. Invite everyone to practice. And if you have problems, you can ask, and Luang Po will help. Luang Po share everyone to keep moving forward, not to get discouraged. Luang Po have done this work for many years, for a long time. So now it's up to you to set your mind to really practice, to really do it. Some of the students asked Luang Po to bless them, that for them to understand what Luang Po understand. Luang Po would say back to them that if Luang Po practice how much Luang Po practice, you should practice the same way too. Buddhism is not about begging. It's not about asking to be blessed. That is not the core Buddhism. Buddhism, this religion, other religion may ask for blessing, but the core Buddhism is not about that. Buddhism is about relying on yourself. The Buddha saw that humans have the ability to develop ourselves. But of course, except for some that those have a very strong wrong view that they cannot learn Dharma. They cannot yet be taught. They're not ready. But if those who have their minds open and they don't have any negative karma, they can develop themselves. They can learn. Luang Po used to be confused that because he practiced since he was little, but he did not know how to cultivate wisdom. But Luang Po kept on practicing. He sat and meditated all the time. Luang Po never abandoned his practice, although he didn't understand how to cultivate wisdom. He practiced every day. He tried to learn by reading from text. There are many ways listed in the text of how to practice. But Luang Por did not know how to start until Luang Por met Luangpu Dun, and when he was 20 years old. That is the same age that Prince Simtrata left his castle and ordained. Luang Por met Luangpu Dun when he was 29 years old. Luangpu Dun taught Luang Por when he was a layperson to observe the mind. After he received the instruction, he kept observing the mind all the time. He was persevere. He kept on practicing. He never just listen to a Dharma talk and do not practice. It's not like he listened to the Dharma talk all the time and never really practice. If you do that, you cannot develop. After Luangpu Dun reviewed Luang Por and told Luang Por what was the proper way to practice. Luang Por followed the instruction. It's like Luang Por. When Luang Por learned English when he was a young boy, he didn't like this subject. He was forced to remember. If he could not remember, he was punished by the teacher. After that, so he did not like English subject at all. Actually, he didn't like his teacher for punishing him. So every time when there was a English class, the mind did not like it. The mind was unhappy. But other classes were fine. Other class he was happy with other class. Luang Por actually observed the mind since he was young, but he did not know this is what observing the mind practices is. He liked PE, physical education. When there's a PE, he really liked it. Except for like jumping. When he has to do that, he saw that his mind didn't like it. But he liked judo and sword fighting. So he saw that the mind was happy when there was judo and sword fighting. But he did not know that this is observing the mind. So when he was 29 years old and met with Luangpu Dun, and Luangpu Dun told him to observe the mind, at first he thought, how to observe the mind? He did not understand how to do it. So at first he tried to make the mind still. But when he reported back to Luangpu Dun said, that is wrong. The mind, its nature is to think, to wonder, to fabricate. But Luang Por at the beginning, he tried to make it still. So that was not the correct way to practice. So Luang Por started to observe the mind as it is. Like Luang Por is easily, he gets angry easily. So anger was apparent to him. Anger arises often. Irritation arises often. Like if someone talked to Luang Por for a long time and never stopped, Luang Por started to feel irritated. It's a waste of time. He wanted to spend his time to practice. He didn't want to just keep chit-chatting with other people. He didn't like that. So every time he ran into those people who like to chit-chat, the mind started to get irritated. He saw that. So when Luang Po started to practice observing his mind, he observed the anger and irritation. At first, it took strong anger for him to see that. But the more he observed that, even a small anger, small aversion arise when it arises, he saw that he's more skillful. Only when he opened the door and the sunlight that hurt his eye, and then he saw the irritation arise. He saw even that after he became more skillful. So even the small defilement, he started to observe that. So he started observing the mind by observing the anger. When the anger arises, when the mind has anger, when the mind has no anger, the anger arises from coming into contact with something that undesirable. And because Luang Po have a habit of getting angry easily, so every time he come into contact with something that he dislike, anger easily arise. So anger was easy for him to observe. And then he moved on to observe greed, lust. That he saw when he wanted to eat something, he saw greed. When it was a hot day, he wanted to take a shower and he observed wanting. When he saw a cat, he wanted to pet the cat. He saw wanting. He saw that the mind desire a cat. That's actually lust. So you can keep observing yourself. At first, you may want to observe the defilement that is more apparent to you, like anger. And then after you become skillful, then you can observe other defilement that is more refined, like greed, like wanting, or even drowsiness, dullness. Or when the mind is busy, the mind wander through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue. The mind keeps changing. It keeps going everywhere. That is the mind being busy, restless. So you can know so when the mind is with the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, or the mind wander off to think. When we are not mindful, when the mind wander off to think, we might not know that. Usually following by thinking, when the mind is lost or moha defilement, other defilement will follow, like lust, like greed, like tosa or anger. Usually the strong defilement follow moha, which is when after the mind is lost. So the mind have to be lost first before other strong defilement would develop. But at the beginning, we just observe what we can. Among the defilements, aversion or anger is the one that is more apparent because it's harmful. Every time anger arises, the mind is uncomfortable. It is suffering. So tosa or anger or aversion is easier to observe. Lust may not be as suffering or as harmful, but it is harder to abandon. Unlike anger, aversion, because every time anger arises, you see suffering. Lust, on the other side, is not that harmful, but it can also give us suffering. Moha or delusion or when the mind is lost is actually the most harmful of all, because it would lead us to other defilement. After the mind is lost, when the mind is lost, we don't know what's good or bad, what's right or wrong. It can lead us to do the wrong thing. If the mind is lost and we do not know so, we do not know, we do not see how harmful it is. Like when our mind wander off, do you see how why it is harmful when the mind is lost? No, we usually enjoy when the mind is lost. We let the mind wander off, lost in thought, daydreaming. So actually, delusion or letting the mind lost is the most harmful. It is actually quite sticky. It is the hardest thing to abandon. What is the boss of moha? It's actually the wrong view. The wrong view is the boss of that. Only Arahant can defeat moha or the mind's loss or delusion. Moha is quite difficult to abandon, but we can start with what we can, just practice and see the defilement that what's apparent to you, like the anger. You can observe that sometimes the mind is with anger, sometimes the mind is without anger. Or you can observe greed. Sometimes the mind has greed, sometimes the mind has no greed. You can know so of that. With moha or the mind wandering off, it is more difficult to observe because it is more refined comparing to other type of defilements. Because every time the mind is lost, we forget ourselves. So we have to practice so we can be aware of ourselves. If we can be aware of ourselves, then we can battle, we can observe the defilement, the delusion. So every time the mind is lost, we can be aware. So we have to practice to be train ourselves to be aware. In this world, most people are lost. There's only few that are awakened, that are aware. If you never practice, there's no way you can be aware. Or you don't have the past good karma that would bring you from your practice from the past life, then there's no way you can be awakened, you can be aware. So it takes determination that you have to practice, you have to train out yourself to be aware by have the object of meditation of your preference. You can choose anything to observe. For Luang Po, it was the breath. As he breathing in and out, he and Buddha. If the mind is lost, he would forget his breath and the Buddha. So he use that to observe when the mind is lost. So if you have the home object of the object of meditation, when you forget the object of meditation, that's when the mind is lost. When Luang Po met Luang Pi Dun, Luang Po used his mind as the object of meditation. That was more difficult. Body is easier to be used as the object of meditation. Luang Pu Dun taught Luang Po to observe the mind because Luang Po already attained a mind that is a stable observer. Because Luang Po have been practicing meditation correctly, and he obtained the correct samadhi before he met Luang Pu Dun. So Luang Po was able to use the mind as the object of meditation. He knew so when the mind was a stable observer and when the mind was not a stable observer. he could observe that. Every time when the mind is lost, the mind recognizes that, and the mind is awakened and over. It keeps knowing so every time the mind is lost. Every time the mind knows so when the mind is lost, the mind is lost dissipate, and the noble mind arise. So Luangpo could use a mind as the object of meditation, but the mind is very refined. It is more difficult to be used as the object of meditation. If we do not attain the mind that is a stable observer yet, we might not be able to use the mind as the object of meditation. We have to train ourselves until we attain the mind that is a stable observer. When Luangpo was only 10 years old, he attained the mind that was a stable observer. He did not know that was it, that was the mind, that a stable observer mind. When he was a child, he just keep practicing, staying with his breath. As he breathed out, he said put. As he breathed in, he said to. He kept practicing until the mind calms down. At first, he count the breathing, but as the mind calmed down, the counting dissipate. As the mind become more calm, Buddha disappear. And when after the mind become even calmer, the breath also disappear. Only the light remained. But when the mind hold on to the light, Luangpo found out later that that is not good either. But he see that every time the mind wander off, when the mind is lost, it is not under his control. Sometimes the mind wander off to see the angels, to see heaven. This vision might not be real. It cannot be trusted. As long as we still defilement, do not trust your vision. Do not trust the image that appear to you. When Luangpo's mind wander off to see heaven, to see angels, Luangpo thought to himself, if I can see angel, then I might see ghosts as well. I might see ghosts too. But Luangpo was very afraid of ghosts. So Luangpo decided not to wander off. Every time the mind hold on, wandered off to the light, Luangpo would know so. As he knows so, the mind comes back, is aware, and comes back to the mind itself. The normal mind arises, and that was that normal mind is awakened, stable, happy. And Luangpo was able to observe the happiness arise and fall too. But Luangpo did not know how to go on from that. He did that when he was 10 years old, when he was a child. But he did not know how to further his practice. He just kept practicing like that. He just kept on doing what the master told him to. Again, when he was 10 years old, he was playing with the rock with the friends from the neighbor. When Luangpo was young, Luangpo was able to play with the neighbor kids. Luangpo feel bad for the kids in this generation because they only hang out with their mobile phones. They are not humans. So back to when Luangpo was 10 years old, playing with his neighbor friends, they were playing with the rocks, and there was a fire nearby. Luangpo got up and ran to tell the adult that there was a fire. His mind, when at first the mind was lost, when he took the first step to run, he did not see that the mind was lost. The second step, he did not see that the mind was lost. But the third step, the mind knew so that the mind was lost and afraid. When he knew so, when he saw that, the mind that was lost disappear, and the mind that is a knower arise. He saw that the mind was frightened, and the mind was greedy, holding on to the rocks, didn't want to leave the rock. And the mind that was frightened, that is the mind under it's the same type of aversion. It's another type of aversion. But when he saw that, the mind that was frightened disappear. After that day, Luang Pa's mind become a knower from time to time. Sometimes the mind is lost, but the mind would see that, and then the knower mind would arise again, and it's stable again. Luang Pa thought that everyone's mind was like that, but in fact, most people's mind in the world are just lost. After Luang Pa practiced, he saw that. And when Luang Pa went with Luang Pu Dun recognized that Luang Pa's mind already was a stable observer, was stable. So Luang Pu Dun told Luang Pa to observe the mind. Luang Pa was able to see that the mind wandered off to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue. It actually arises at the eyes, ears, nose, tongue. Wherever the mind arises, it falls there. At first, Luang Pa did not know what the mind was. Luang Pa thought that the mind's location has a location that its location is the middle of the chest area because everything arises around there. Luang Pa once asked Luang Pu Dun, "Where is the mind?" And Luang Pa thought that Luang Pu Dun would reply that the mind was at the chest area. But Luang Pu Dun replied, "The mind has no specific location. Wherever the mind arises, it falls there." So after Luang Pa heard that, he was even more confused. So how to observe the mind if it arises there and disappear there? So Luang Pa tried to observe where the mind was. But the mind actually is like a function. Its nature is to know. Then the mind never arises alone. Whenever there's a mind, there is an object. This object, it doesn't mean feeling or emotion. The object, it is the vocabulary. It's a technical term in Buddhism. It means the thing that the know of. So the mind and the object always arise together. The mind always know the objects. The mind knows the object. So the mind and the objects arise together. After Luang Pa understood that, he did not try to keep the mind still or the mind. You have to have the mind that is stable observer first to be able to see that. If your mind keeps getting lost, you cannot observe anything. So you have to have the mind that is stable observer. Every time when the mind wander off, the mind arises at the eyes to look at something, you will see that. And the mind that arises at the eye to look would fall. And the mind that is a knower would arise. Sometimes the mind arises at the ears to listen. When you see that, the mind that's lost at the ears would dissipate, would fall, and a noble mind would arise. Or when the mind is lost in thought, when you see that, the mind that's lost in thought would fall, and a noble mind would arise. So you can practice by keep knowing the mind. That's not that's not only one mind. There's the mind is not something that is permanent. Those who believe that the mind is permanent, that is the wrong view. That's what the Buddha said. The Buddha said that the mind rise and fall all the time. If one said that the mind is permanent, that's only one mind. That is the wrong view. The mind arrives at the eyes and falls there. The mind arrives at the ears and it falls there. The mind rises with the thought, it falls there. If you can know so of that, the mind that knows also rise and fall as well. When the mind is lost in thought, when you know so, the mind that's lost in thought would fall, and the noble mind would arise. But we are not trying to keep the noble mind there all the time. The noble mind rise and fall too. Luangpu start to practice by just know so of his anger arise and fall, because Luangpu has a temperament of easily getting angry. He has an anger temperament. Every time he come into contact with something that is not that he do not like, aversion arise, because that is his temperament. So aversion arise often. But usually when the aversion arises, it doesn't arise alone. It arises after he come into contact with something that he do not like. He does not like. So at first, when he observed the more coarse, the more apparent type of defilement, like the anger and greed, but all the defilement, they arise because we come into contact with something first. When the eye sees something, at the moment that we usually feel nothing, because the liking or not liking comes after the eyes come into contact with the object. So let's try close your eyes right now. And turn your head any direction you want to, and then open your eyes. Can you feel that the first moment when you when you open your eye, the mind is actually neutral. It's not happy, angry. The mind, when it first come into contact with the object, it is neutral. So the first contact, when we see something, smell something, the mind is actually neutral. That is the first feeling that it first arises. The first moment, it is usually ubekha or neutral. The eye, ears, nose, tongue, but except for the body, other type of bodies, like for example, if someone hit you, the suffering, the pain can arise right away. So in our external contacts, every time the first moment when we come into contact with something, there's a feeling that develops, but it may be different from which contact. But the defilement always follows. So you can observe the other feeling would always follow. For example, when you come into contact of something that you like, it usually followed by lust. When we come into contact with something that we do not like, anger usually follow, aversion usually follow. So after the first feeling, when we come to contact with something, it usually followed by the defilement. For example, when you come into contact with something that you like, that you're happy, that's feeling that there's pleasure feeling, and lust usually follow. Greed usually follow. When we come into contact with something that we do not like, there's unpleasurable feeling arise and aversion arise, and sometimes that's greed, that's wanting for this aversion to go away. Every time the mind hold on to something, the mind structure, the mind fabricate. Every time the mind hold on to something, it fabricate. When it fabricate, there is a mental process of becoming. That is a state, that is a phenomena, is also called rebirth, or is the acquisition of the sense organs. When you are grabbing on, the mind grabbing onto something, it's called a rebirth. Every time the mind is grabbing on something, that is suffering. Because when the mind is grabbing on the body and the mind itself, suffering arises right away, because the mind and the body, they are suffering itself. The five aggregates are the body and the mind. They are the root cause of suffering. So if the mind is grabbing onto those, it suffers. If the mind is still holding on to the body and the mind, we still suffer. But if we practice until one day we see that they are the root cause of suffering and we can let them go, then we can be liberated from suffering. When the mind is see that and it can let go, the anagami, they are the non-returner. They see that the body is the root cause of suffering. So the mind become dispassionate from the body and it let go of the body. That is the anagami. But they're still holding on, grabbing to the mind. The mind is the major cause, it's the root cause, it's the final boss of suffering. When we still have the mind, we still suffer. The mind works all the time. One time Luang Por saw that, he feel bad for the mind. The mind has a lot of burden. It has to work all the time. When one can see that the mind is the root cause of suffering and let that go, then you can be truly liberated. Those who can do that are arahant, and they can attain nibbana. If they are still holding on to the body and mind and they claim themselves to be arahant, you can tell that they are not arahant. Most of the masters say that most arahant never say that they are arahant. They never hold on to themselves, but that's nothing to hold on to. But sometimes they just say that just to communicate. But their mind, They're not grabbing onto anything anymore. Today's talk is it difficult? At first, Luangpo try to teach easy, to make it easy. Okay, Luangpo is going to make it easy. To practice is to see the phenomena. If you cannot see the mind, you can see the body. Seeing the body is just to know when the body changes, when the body moves. So you can start by being aware of the body. Every time we are not aware, the mind's lost. If you cannot know the mind, you can know the body first. But the mind also is not difficult to know. You can know so when the mind is happy, unhappy, or neutral. You can know so when the mind is wholesome or unwholesome. But if you not can observe the mind yet, you can observe the body. Know so when the body is changed. Know so when the body moves. Know so of the movement of the body. And if you can observe the feeling that arise with the mind. Know so when the mind is happy, unhappy, or neutral. And after the feeling arise, when you are happy, usually the defilement is fabricated after. You can observe that. You can observe sometimes the mind is wholesome, sometimes the mind is unwholesome. Sometimes the mind is happy, sometimes the mind is unhappy, or sometimes the mind is neutral. Keep being aware of the body and the mind until one day you see the truth. There's nothing better than the Dharma by the Lord Buddha. The body and the mind is a subject that is very refined. Isn't it strange that we have the body and the mind, but we never know them? So keep practicing. Now's homework reviewing time. Number one, the mind is still distracted, but now I can step out of thoughts. I have a back pain that make me practice formal meditation less. In daily life, I can notice emotion more often but myself. For example, when anger arises, I know so, and observe the sign of anger. The mind stay neutral. I understand this is as the mind being a stable observer. I keep on practicing both formally and in daily life. They feel no different now. That I feel like I'm not doing anything. But lately I feel like my samadhi is less. Please tell me what to do next. The goal of the practice is to be liberated, Luangpo said. Like if you now that you have a back pain, be aware, be mindful that the pain is just something that the mind knows. There is a mind that do not like the pain. No so of that. So when you have a back pain, don't say that there's nothing to observe. There is always something to observe. Keep observing all the time until one day you might feel that you don't want to observe anymore because there's nothing but suffering. Number two, practice formally by walking meditation, sitting meditation, and chanting. During the day, the mind gets lost in thoughts. And number two, come back to knowing the body moving. Deep down, number two, want to close the door to lower the realms in this life. When I wake up, the mind feel like light and number two, really like it. When the mind feels heavy, number two, dislike it. But now number two see that he or she cannot control it. Please tell me what to do next. Luangpu reply, it's okay if you don't understand right now. Just know it as it is. Know when it is happy, unhappy, suffering or not suffering. Just know so at the of the present. Keep practicing and then you will progress. If you try to understand everything that's happening, your mind will become restless. Right now, you're trying to hold on to the mind, like keep the mind still. Can you tell? See the mind that moves just now? Now you are making the mind still. The mind right now is different from the mind when you are not practicing. The correct mind when you want to practice is the ordinary mind. It's the normal mind. Let the mind be. Let the mind be as it is. And we just know it as it is. Right now your mind is still, so it cannot observe anything. Sorry, this recommendation is for number one. For number two, for you, your weak point is that your mind is busy because you like to think. You let the mind think. So let's think instead of letting it think endlessly. Keep the mantra for the mind to think of, like Putto, Dhammo, Sangho. So let the mind stay with the mantra instead of let it wander aimlessly. So the mind can be a stable observer. Now it's better. Before the mind was scattered out. Number three. I use the breath and body movement as the object of meditation. I can see more clearly that the body is something to be known. It moves and changes by itself. When I see my own wrong view and my ego, I feel ashamed. Because of this, I want to focus more on developing the quality of the mind. Please tell me what to do. The practice is not to try to develop the quality of the mind. The goal of the practice, the object of the practice is to know the mind as it is. The quality of the mind is just, it develops on its own. So don't set the goal to practice to develop the quality of the mind. Know it as it is. Know the body and the mind at the present. And then you will develop. Actually, number 1, 2, and 3, you are good practitioners. Luangpo only tell you so you can progress even more. For number 3, don't try to hold on the mind to be still. Like right now, you are controlling the mind. Can you see that? Just know so as it is. You don't have to try to fix anything. Know it as it is. You will hold on to the mind, then the mind feels stiff and there's a weight. Just know so that you are doing that. When the mind feels lighter, know so as well. Keep knowing so, keep feeling, keep observing it. Number 4. I practice in the morning and in the evening 3 hours a day. 2 hours of sitting meditation and 1 hour of walking meditation. My object in meditation is anapanasati, or the breath. When the body breathes, the mind is the one who that observes. I keep knowing and watching when the mind flows away. I practice sitting meditation with my eyes open. I see the sin fields arise and fall. Please tell me what to do next. Luangpo said, you are practicing correctly. Keep practicing. Number 4. Right now, your mind is out, not stable. Can you tell? If you know so, that's good. That you don't have to fix anything. Number 5. Number 5, practice formally every day by sitting meditation in the morning and in the evening, about 1 hour each time. Sometimes, number 5, alternate with the walking meditation. During the day, number 5, practice only little and sometimes observe the physical and mental feelings. At times, number 5 gets the past hindrance. The mind, when he see that, the mind become more strength. But when the mind's lost, number 5 can know so more quickly and return to the base faster. Please tell me what to do next. Keep practicing, and after you become more skillful, you have a habit of observing. When you observe, it's not intentional. You don't have to try, it become automatic. Number 6, I practice walking meditation every day for about 4 hours. I keep the 5 precept well, and sometimes I keep the 8 precept for 3 days a month. I can know saw of the anger and delusion more often. I can see suffering become shorter, and I can see that the mental phenomena working back and forth. Sometimes it feels confusing as I cannot make sense of what was happening. When I'm mindful, I start to again from the beginning. Please tell me what to do next. Luangpo replied, you practice correctly. Very good. Keep practicing. Number 7, you practice well. Number 7, I practice formally every day while walking meditation, sitting meditation for about 1.5 hours a day. I practice during the day. Usually I observe when the mind is lost. I see that the suffering becomes shorter. I think I can sometimes separate the elements and aggregates, but I am not sure. Please tell me, do I practice correctly? Luangpo replied, correct and very good. Your mind is happy on its own. Sati arise on its own. It's become automatic now. Don't be lazy and practice more. Don't give up on your practice. Don't stop practicing. Number 8. I practice using Buddha and watching when my thoughts flow away. I do not force my mind to keep repeating Buddha. When I know that the mind is thinking, I return, lost in thought, I return to Buddha again. Sometimes when Buddha disappear, I use the body as a meditation object instead. Until I can know Buddha again, I keep practicing like this. Now it feels that I can be aware more often. But when I know when the mind is lost, it's not very clear. Please tell me what to do next. You have delusion. Don't let the mind be drowsy or dull. You have to be more agile, more active as in your practice. Number 7, your mind is lost. Can you know that? Do you know that? Number 8, when you observe the phenomena, see that the mind is kind of sinking, moving toward the phenomena. Know so of that. As the mind moves toward the phenomena, you don't have to try to prevent it. Just know it as it is, that the mind is moving, sinking to the phenomena. When you see that, the mind will regain strength. The mind regains strength. Number 7. Now your sati, your mindfulness is weakened. When you sit and meditate, you have to have sati or mindfulness all the time. Otherwise, dullness will arise and drowsiness will arise. That is all the Dharma talk for today. Number 7, you practice well. Good.